Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode, and oh, look at that.
Welcome to the Debrief Season 2. This season was a roller coaster of emotions for SgtOutdoors. We had found some success, but we also met failure. Luckily, nothing is a better teacher than failure. We will take these lessons we've learned and turn them into future success. But to begin this reflection, we must rewind. Start at the beginning. But the year doesn't begin in the fall, it doesn't even begin in a tree stand. Let's head all the way back to March, as soon as the snow melts. This is where we start. Here, we reflect on the deer movement that we've experienced in the first year on our new property. We know what challenges we need to overcome. Deer movement and food plots are on top of the priority list for 2020. We step into the woods and start the planning process. We identify the changes we can immediately take and start the process for 2020.
Good idea, bad idea, or what you think? So, all right, plot number 1. We know it from last year. This is the only one we got in. This side we actually planted, this side we just mowed. Nice grass grew in. So with this one, we're gonna expand it, but there's a fence right there. There's a barbed wire fence that kind of cuts this property off in a funky way. We gotta get rid of that fence. That's step 1. We're gonna mow over that hill. We're gonna mow over that hill, and this is gonna be the big plot, the main food source for this property. We'll be right up here, front of the property, hopefully, and just get the deer used to coming down to the south side of the property. Because right now, there's 2 trails. They just go right along the back, and then a little ways, just past halfway, there's a trail that goes, and they just go east and west in here. So we want to build a nice big food plot up here where the deer will come to visit and eat. It'll be a main food source before they hit up the actual ag fields on other properties. So that's the plan for this one. I don't know what we're gonna plant yet. I might just spend another year if we just mow it. I mean, this was nice grass under here. Under that stuff. So we might just mow it and leave this part alone for another year, but I mean, you can see how much room we have to mow, and then we're gonna leave these bushes and the trees to give cover to the road and, you know, the house and stuff, so that they feel safe coming in here any time of day. I mean, if you remember, as soon as we had this mowed, we had some big bucks walking through here last year. So they already started coming this way with just that little bit of work that we did last year with the time we had. So, I mean, look at this. This is already growing in. That looks kind of nice. So let's take you over to the other part where we're going to put a trail plot in. And I'll show you guys that. So this is where, so we got got a box blind stand built there. We're gonna add on to it, but this will be the first true addition. We have a 4-wheeler trail. I'm standing on it. It's the western boundary of the property. Everything to the east of this until the bush lines and trees, I'm hoping we can turn into a plot. It'll be a fairly thin one, probably be only about 25 yards wide, but it will slow the deer traffic. If they're coming down this trail to get across the road or to some bedding or another field, we want them to stop and we want them to graze for a minute. So that's what we're gonna get going on here. It's not gonna be very big. It's gonna be about 80 by 20, 80 yards by 20 yards, if that, maybe 50 yards. But we're just gonna mow this. But what I'm seeing and why I wanted to come out here is, I mean, Google Earth, you can make all the plans you want, but then you can't see stuff like this. This water's pooling a lot. I'm hoping it isn't a swamp. I'm hoping it's just the ground is still frozen. This kind of throws a wrench in making this a plot. It'll have to be a lot thinner than I wanted it to be. Step number 2 is getting...
With our plans now solidified, we wait for better weather. We hit the woods in April. This is when the real work begins. We begin to act upon our plans we have created and start at removing all of the fence lines that interrupt the deer movement.
All right, and just like that, we're out of time for the day, but look at this. We finished the food plot cleanup over there, so there's no fence cutting that food plot in half anymore. And then we started up here in the woods because we knew we were running out of time. So we wanted to open something up so that the deer start using and crossing through here. So we removed, what is that, 4 poles, which is, I don't know, 25 feet or so on each side of this corner here. So we're making progress. All right, and just like that, the whole north side is done. We cut it all the way, pulled all the poles, and now Dad's got the John Deere out. He's cutting that first plot all the way up front right now, but all this you see behind me here, we're gonna try to mow down as much as that as we can. We're still gonna get a little food plot in here on the northeast side as far as we can get. And then he's mowing the front one. It sounds like he might actually be mowing the west one right now. So it's starting to rain. So we gotta call it now, pack up the 4-wheeler, head on over and see what he's up to. Ladies and gentlemen, day 2 of getting that fence removed. We got the full north and south done.
We accomplished the majority of the work we wanted to in April. Lanes, food plots, fence lines, and 4-wheeler trails all cleared, cut, and cleaned. And with that work done, we now move on to fishing season at Sgt Outdoors. Our land sits largely ignored until August 6th. This marks the day we plant our fall food plots. Let's hit the ground and check in August.
Got a lot of stuff going on. One, we're getting our food plots put in. And that is going to consist of throwing seeds into the weeds that are currently out there, spraying those weeds with glyphosate, and then crushing them over with a roller. And my only concern with this not working is if the weeds out there right now, once you crush them down, if they're too thick. You want a pretty good layer, but what you need is once all those seeds underneath start sprouting, they need to be able to reach the sun once they need it, obviously. And if that layer is too thick of weeds once we roll it over, it may not work. That is insane. Oh, they definitely work.
Yeah, no shit.
Jesus. Wow. I already did. Alright, so as you can see, like I said, I think we're gonna be in luck because like wherever mostly the ferns were, There's a lot of good open space, but it's still covered, hold that moisture in. But there are some spots like here where we got a lot more broadleaf that's really thick. So we'll see if it ends up working or not. I think it will. I think it's still gonna be all right, because even then, that's only, you know, this thick. As soon as that plant starts to grow, if sun gets to it at all, we're gonna be set. So we got it seeded, we got it sprayed. He's throwing the roller around right now with the four-wheeler. And then if we have more, we'll keep spraying a little bit. We'll do one more quick layer of spray to make sure those weeds are dead. And then we're gonna be set. And then it's just a waiting game. Get those trail cameras out.
With the food plots planted and velvet getting into full swing, we make our big push with trail cameras. This year we expanded the use of our cell cams. SpyPoint's introduction of the universal cell link has fundamentally changed the way we look at scouting with our trail cameras forever. On August 11th, we deploy all of our trail cameras out to the woods. I take a few minutes and talk about our cell cams and SpyPoint's cell link.
Working properly to get put out into the woods, and I have a couple of tips for you guys. One, if you have any cell cams, make sure the firmware is up to date. This one needed an update, so we brought it in, got it all updated. That was easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And I'm also going to suggest, this worked pretty well last year. We had cameras that were fogging up. Anti-fog for your camera lenses. So I'm gonna do that to all of these as well, plus the one we're having a little bit of trouble with right now. So yeah, lens cleaner anti-fog by EK USA, whatever. So I'll be doing that to all the cameras. Plus I'm gonna be putting 2 more cameras out, at least for a month, out here on the Private 13. We have a model just like this one hooked up to one of these cell links, which if you don't already have one of these universal SpyPoint cell links, this is the cheapest and best way to get into cell cams. If you are still kind of on the fence, you can find these. They're doing specials all over at stores, $49.99, $59.99. If you go to their website, it's $59.99, and then you can do their free plan. Just put it on a trail that you just want to keep monitored. Just test it. I promise you, you will not regret it. That's about it. We're just gonna do a quick little run today and do some trail camera maintenance. We put them all out less than 5 days ago. Since we all have them hooked up to cell cams now, we noticed right away. I came out here and we're gonna take care of those problems that we're having before it matters. You don't wanna be doing this in October when all the patterns are changing and the big bucks are moving around trying to find a place to rut. That is not when you want these problems. So, let's just hop on the old four-wheeler here, take all this stuff out there, get some extra cameras out there. I'm gonna battery these up and put some SD cards in them quick. And so that's what this setup looks like. This door will obviously close, but I'm waiting to make sure the signal lights all blink how they're supposed to, but that's how it looks for us. And we got that ribbon cable coming right out of the case there. It still closes up and locks all the way. We make sure to fasten it to the post so nothing come in here and try to grab it or eat it. If you want your original photos off of here, because obviously that SD card is just, you know, a cable, you pull the card out of the or out of the modem here. That houses all your originals. So if you ever want to come out and you want to pull the originals off because you just want to copy them and not pay SpyPoint for full HD pictures, you just come out here, pull that card, put it in your laptop just like you would anything else, and then you're all set and you're good to go.
With trail cameras out, food plots planted, we still have a ton of work to do before we even think about the season beginning. Our next steps are gear tuning and deer scouting. With the season already less than a month away, let's turn to our gear for the season in the next episode of The Debrief.